All right, hello everyone. Doing something a little bit different today. I recently joined a Pokemon Draft League, and I thought it would be fun after each of my battles to do a little bit of a redex of each battle, and explain, some of my team building decisions and what was going on through the battle as it happened. So the first opponent that I took on in the Battle League here was someone who used a pure Ice type team. Ice Monotype, I should say, is probably the best way to say it. And interesting setup for a draft league because obviously doing Monotype in a non-monotype format comes with its own risks, but especially people who are maybe used to gym leagues and stuff like that are used to thinking in that sense, or they just like the challenge of doing it. And I will say that this was a very good set of battles here, so my opponent did that monotype team building very well. You can kind of see the back end of what I brought into this. I should say for our draft league, each of us were allowed to choose 10 Pokemon in the draft, no more than 4 from UUBL and above. I should say that I cannot speak. I'm sorry. You can kind of see just on this team right here, 3 of my 4 OU picks, Volcarona, Tyranitar, and Clefable. I also ended up picking Corviknight, which I did not bring to this battle for, the reason that Corviknight's part flying and not necessarily the best for taking on ice types in that sense. I also brought my Aegislash, Conkeldurr, and Arcanine. Other options I had from my draft were Amoonguss, Mamoswine, and Rotom Wash. I was considering maybe bringing Rotom Wash into this team build, but ultimately decided not to. My opponent, has the 6 showing here. I'm forgetting off the top of my head what other Pokemon they drafted, but I know they did not draft, Mamoswine, honestly, because I got Mamoswine. They also did not take Weevil or Cloyster, which I thought both of which would be good for monotype ice teams, but again, my opponent is very much thinking in the monotype and had a strategy in mind. Those probably didn't fit that strategy. And just if you're wondering why none of us have picked legendaries, that was a rule for our draft league. No legendaries, which does take a big chunk out of OU. Anyway, let's get into the actual builds of the Pokemon that I had here. So for this particular battle, starting off with basically what I kind of have as my team mascot, my Volcarona, FC Volcarona, as a play on FC Barcelona. It's a Quiver set. What else are you really going to do with the Volcarona? I ended up picking the item of Lumberry. I wasn't too worried about status from the ice type team. I did know that some of them could bring Thunder Wave, though, and of course almost any Pokemon can learn Toxic. I had thought of maybe heavy duty boots for Volcarona, but I also wasn't thinking an ice type team was going to set up Stealth Rock very much. So I went with Lumberry here. Then Quiver and Fire Dance should be obvious for going against the fire type team with the Volcarona. I did not choose Bug Buzz because not a lot of their team had a weakness to Bug. It wouldn't cover kind of what Fire Dance already covered. They did have some water ice Pokemon, though, so that's why I've included Giga Drain in this set. And then Roost, just for some extra longevity. The EV spread here is actually wagered defensively, because the thought process there is if you're Quiver Dancing, you're increasing your special defense a lot. So as long as you can tank a couple hits to get the Quiver Dances off, it's probably better to invest in the defense there. And I believe that is one of the recommendations on at least one set for Volcarona in the Smogon decks. I don't remember which, though. But that's this actually Volcarona set is very similar to one that I had done when I did draft leagues way back in Gen 5. It's been that long since I've done draft leagues before. So it's been quite a while. Oh no, Gen 6, because I remember doing a draft league with Megas. Yeah. I've never done a draft league with Z moves, though. So yeah, Gen 6 was the last time I had done draft league. Next up here is my Tyranitar, the second of my OU Pokemon. When I drafted it, I was excited about the possibility of using Dragon Dance sets on Tyranitar. But looking through recommendations and stuff, that's Dragon Dance is actually apparently relatively niche. So I had to figure out what else to do. There's a lot of kind of support here with Stealth Rock and Thunder Wave. I've given it Wide Lens to help with Thunder Wave, and also Wide Lens will actually help with a lot of other rock type attacks as well, which I thought would be a good item for this set. Oh yeah, other rule for our draft league: no Pokemon can share items in a single battle. Makes sense. But so those are kind of just a little bit of support here. I've got, again, Rock Tomb, because Stab hitting the ice types was super effective. And then also Fire Fang. Similar Stab could be more useful in some other situations, but I didn't think Earthquake or Thunder Fang would be helpful here, or the punches either. I like the possibility of having a flinch in there. The big important thing with my Tyranitar is it sets Sandstream. Considering I'm facing an ice type team as my opponent, I knew that Hail would end up giving residual damage each turn. It could set up Aurora Veil for their own defensive properties, and they could also have Pokemon with Slush Rush to really help with their offensive capabilities. And if I can shut down Hail, that's probably one of my biggest boons for trying to win some of these battles. So T-Tar here really is my sand setter with some support and then damaging moves as needed. Clefable comes next. General Calm Mindset. You'll notice here I actually don't have Stab on this Clefable, and this is, again, playing into the fact that I was going to be facing an opponent that was Ice Monotype. There was no use for Moonblast, but Flamethrower and Thunderbolt much more useful in that sense. I also decided to pick Magic Guard instead of Unaware, because I didn't think my opponent was going to use Setup very much. Now, of course, Alolan Ninetales and Jinx are setup Pokemon if they choose to do so, but as long as I can get off at least one Calm Mind before they get off two of their nasty plots, it shouldn't be too bad, especially with both Leftovers and Soft Boiled. So that's why I decided to go with Magic Guard, because that saves Clefable from Hail. It also saves it from any Toxic if any of my opponent's Pokemon had Toxic. Running down the team, I've got Aegislash. This is giving me a Steel-type Stab. Also gives me King's Shield, which will help me in case my opponent is choice-locked into anything, particularly if it's choice-locked into physical moves, which, considering my opponent has both of the Gen 8 Ice-type Fossil Pokemon that are going to be probably using Slush Rush, King's Shield would be very helpful in that sense. Otherwise, pretty typical build there for an Aegislash. Next up is Conkeldurr, basic Flame Ord's Gut set. Some of these sets will, knock off and Drain Punch are almost always staples of this Conkeldurr set. The question is, how do you want to mix up Mach Punch, Bulk Up, and Facade? And in this case, again, my opponent's a pure Ice-type team. No real use for Facade, aside from what all of my other moves already hit. So that's why I went with both Mach Punch and Drain Punch. Lastly, then, you'll see I have my Arcanine, which is the lowest-tiered Pokemon that I drafted. But I do love Arcanine. It's just generally one of my favorites to begin with. I also use it actually quite a lot in my 1v1 battles. It's very nice there with the Choice Band set. You'll see here I've decided to go with a Choice Scarf set for this Arcanine. The reason being is that I knew that, again, they have both Alolan Ninetales and Abomasnow in their draft, or at least my opponent, I should say. And I don't have to worry necessarily about Abomasnow as much, but the idea here was I wanted something where I could get rid of that Alolan Ninetales before it's able to set up Aurora Veil. So I did make sure that a Choice Scarf with not Speed Nature was still able to outspeed a fully invested Ninetales Alola. And it does, so I decided to make sure that the Nature buffed the attack, just for the extra oomph. Especially if my Arcanine was going to be hitting into some of their other Pokemon. And Yeah, I think that was about it. I could have tried to maybe spec out the Arcanine a little better to see maybe if it might tank some other threats, but I didn't think that was going to be too much of an issue going into this battle. So, that all said, let's go see what the first battle, how the first battle went. And I say first battle because with our draft league, everyone faces each other opponent twice. So to kind of mitigate some of the luck factor here. Then we have a scoring system for total number of kills you make, all sorts of fun things like that. So, let's see how we go here. And so I start off with my Arcanine because, again, I'm worried about seeing Abomasnow or Ninetales first. And he sends out Abomasnow first. Makes sense. Hail is set up. He brings out Arctovish in turn 1. Now, I do deal more than half damage onto this Arctovish, which, in a normal thing, if there was no other buffs in place, I would be happy going into a Flare Blitz again on turn 2 and taking it out. However, we do know that Arctovish has Slush Rush. So it could very easily be double speed and, maybe even have a Choice Scarf on it as well. I don't know. But I don't want to have something even faster than my Choice Scarf Arcanine come in and just take the Arcanine out right away. So what I do then is switch into Aegislash, so I think it'll tank a Vicious Rend relatively well. It's actually more than half damage, so that scares me a bit. And I realize I kind of have to go into the King's Shield, and that gives my opponent the opportunity to switch. So now we've got Avalugg out. I want to try to take that down as best I can. I know it's going to come in with more physical attacks when it gets the opportunity. So I'd take the risk to bring out Conkeldurr, and it didn't attack on that turn, so I get the burn on the send-off pretty directly here. Next up, then, I'm going to start bulking up in the hopes of not taking more damage from some of his other attacks. Body Press comes in and does quite a bit still, which makes sense with Avalugg's high defenses and iron defense pulled in. So I come in with the Drain Punch to heal, and it has a red card, which makes complete sense for an Avalugg, but you'll notice here, of all 5 options it could have brought out, it brings out the one option that is 4 times weak to Body Press. All of a sudden, my Tyranitar is taken out 1 hit, doesn't get to do a single thing in this battle aside from very quickly set Sand up. And at this point, I think I've lost the match already. But I'm going to see what I can do. The Volcarona came out to try to take advantage of Avalugg's low special defense. I get a Quiver Dance off because I figured he wasn't going to attack Volcarona. Ninetales comes out to reset Hail, and I do get a Fire Dance off to kill the Ninetales. Now, next up, coming out is the Arctovish again. I'm assuming it's Slush Rush, so I'm going to swap again, get the Arcanine in to lower its attack. Doesn't help much for Vicious Rend, that doubles power when it hits first, but it gives me a little bit of breathing room to send out Aegislash again. And since he had swapped last time, I figured he wasn't going to attack into a King's Shield again, which is why here I switched to Blade Form, coming with an Iron Head, do a big chunk of damage on whatever he sent in. Now, he could have sent in a lot of different stuff. Makes sense that he took the Electric type in to mitigate the Steel type attack. Now, I could have tried to use a Sacred Sword instead of Iron Head, but that was just the choice I made in this particular moment. Works out okay in the end, because as you saw in my team build, I do have Shadow Sneak, which is enough to take out a little dragon there. But now I'm at really low health. One more attack from Aegislash and it'll kill itself. He gets the Hail again, and I do end up getting the kill on myself. Abomasnow has a Focus Sash, so it survives, unfortunately. But that just means there's one little extra turn I have to worry about here. So Conkeldurr comes out, and I decide to not risk the Ice Shard, put a Mach Punch in instead. Get some burn damage, get some hail damage. And here's where things get interesting, because never mind. Not quite here, one more turn later. I do another Drain Punch, take the kill there. Does more damage this time than last time, because last time he had an Iron Defense up. Now's where it gets a little interesting because my opponent sends out Jinx. And so at this point, I'm thinking, okay, this Jinx is going to come in with some sort of psychic type attack, whether it's psychic or Psyshock. It's probably going to kill me. Psyshock might not. But whatever happens, I don't want either one of my remaining 2 Pokemon to take that damage instead. So I'm going to just stay in. Now my opponent comes in with a lovely Kiss instead, letting me get the knockoff completely. I could have tried to do a Mach Punch to get chip damage before the Psychic type attack went in, and I honestly don't know why I didn't try that. I think I was hoping to maybe tank a Psyshock. But this is the interesting thing, I think, with this battle, because you're using Lovely Kiss on a Pokemon that's already burned. I'm guessing my opponent here was thinking that I was going to swap, being scared of a Psychic type attack, and was hoping to get the Pokemon that I send out asleep. Now, here's the thing. Jinx is freaking fast. My other 2 Pokemon are not fast. The only other 2 Pokemon that I could have sent out weren't. So my opponent here could have just waited to see what I sent out and used a Lovely Kiss on the next turn and done whatever other setup they want to do here. Because with a Lovely Kiss, they're clearly not like Choice Spect. I don't know if they're Life Orb or not, although you can see now that they're Wide Lens. But I didn't know that when I decided this turn. And so whatever setup this Jinx might have had, because if you're putting something to sleep, you're going to probably do some sort of setup after you put your thing to sleep. He could have tried to do some sort of setup here, expecting the switch. And that would have made this turn useful on my switch, because he still would have been able to get off a Lovely Kiss the next turn anyway. So I think that was a big risk on that. But again, I didn't do a Mach Punch here when I could have. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure who got the better of that. Well, I got the kill, so I got the better of the turn. But neither of us were necessarily playing the smartest move right there. But now at this point, he only has the last one, and I have Mach Punch, and that ends the battle. So that was the battle 1. So even though I really lost my Sandsetter early to that red card randomness, and I was sure I was going to eat it from then on, I actually managed to turn it around. And now, as a spoiler alert, second battle goes, basically the opposite way. Let's actually go back to the top. Oh, pause. Oh, yeah, I need to learn how to do these replays battle. Anyway, second battle begins. Neither of us actually changed our teams. So, got the same general setup here. This battle, I lead off with Arcanine again. Opponent leads off with Ninetales instead of Abomasnow. And my Choice Scarf Choice Scarf Choice did the trick. There we go, I can speak. And I take out Alolan Ninetales turn 1. No worries about Aurora Rail from that. No worries about the speed that Alolan Ninetales generally gets. Now, on this next turn, my opponent sends out Jinx. And they just saw that my Arcanine outsped the Ninetales. And I'd learned after the battle that they admitted this was just entirely a misplay on their part. But I Flare Blitz the Jinx, take it out as well. All of a sudden, I'm 2-0 up after having won the first battle, and I'm feeling quite confident at this point. Now here comes Arctovish, and I figure it's Slush Rush. So I do the swap that I did last time. Let Aegislash take a bit of a hit. And I did King Shield again here, just to see what happened, and it actually worked out. Got the Arctovish weakened there. So I do a stance change now and go for a Shadow Sneak, which in hindsight maybe wouldn't have been, in hindsight was a big misplay on my part. If I had opted to do a Iron Head or a Sacred Sword right there, I would have been in defense form, in the shield form, when I took this Vicious Rend. Now, obviously, the Vicious Rend has killed me right now, done the 27% damage, but that was after I had Life Orb recoil and after I had gone into Blade form, so my defense was really low. I believe I probably could have tanked a Vicious Rend in and then come in stronger with the Sacred Sword. So this was a misplay on my part. I've now lost Aegislash. But I'm like, okay, Hail is gone now. Let me see what else I can do. Opponent chooses to swap to get the Hail set up again. So again, I'm really thinking Slush Rust is the thing here. I get to use the opportunity to bulk up. Abomasnow, as I figured from last time, has the Focus Sash. I bulk up some more here. I guess I was trying to prepare for any other physical attacks that would come in. Actually, I'm not remembering exactly what I was thinking right there, but I get the Drain Punch in, heal most of my health, or a good chunk of my health there, get another Blizzard to the face, and now I'm hurting quite a bit. And then Ice Shard comes in, and that takes me out. I should have done a Mach Punch there. So that was big misplay number 2 for me. I get Arcanine in, does the weakened attacks. He gets a little bit of an Ice Shard in again. Thankfully, Flare Blitz, I don't lose much health because of it, because they had already Focus Sashed. And now the Hail's gone. So at this point, I think I'm pretty well in the clear. And I do come in with Flare Blitz, take out most of the health for Arctovish. It's down on the ropes. I think I'm good. And it still outspeeds my Volcarona. So not only was it... So it was at least Choice Scarfed. It might have been Choice Scarfed and Slush Rushed. I don't know. I send in Clefable. And I used Thunderbolt there. Why did I use... Oh, I used Thunderbolt because I figured it was Slush Rush, so it wouldn't have Volt Absorbed. It comes with an Iron Tail. It misses, so it's got trouble using Iron Tail. It still does a fair amount of damage because it is Life Orbed. And so I start making the choice to start healing here. In the hopes, I guess, of having an Iron Tail miss, and it gives me the opportunity to do something later. And this was big misplay number 3, because as you remember, my Clefable has Flamethrower on it. Oh, no, I know what I'm thinking of here. Because it has Life Orb, I'm waiting for it to get to a low enough amount of health that Flamethrower will kill it. Unfortunately, as you can see, and I wasn't thinking through very well, it was able to switch from Iron Tail to Bullbeak because it was not choice locked into anything. I mean, losing health each turn, I'm depending on Life Orb recoil. I should have figured they could have swapped attacks. And now that it's put one Bullbeak into me, instead of the Iron Tail, 80% damage instead of 60, I'm now in kill zone for the next Bullbeak. That goes away. And as you know, my Tyranitar is not Dragon Dance, so there's no way I can really get out of this at this point. I will say, as an end note, that Arctovish has ended up killing my Volcarona. If I had had anything with priority left, I probably could have turned it around and killed Arctovish instead. However, you saw me lose the Aegislash and the Conkeldurr earlier in the match. I don't know if that was necessarily intentional on my opponent's part, but it certainly prevented me from priority killing that Arctovish and saving my Volcarona. So yeah, a couple of things there in the second battle that I just did not make the right choices in there. And so yeah, my opponent effectively acting as... Well, not effectively acting, it was just... Who opted to go with Ice Monotype. I was about to say effectively Ice-type gym leader, but it's not a gym league, just a regular draft league. Pulled it around this time. And so yeah, both battles... One person goes ahead, the other person turns it around. It was a very good pair here. And I mentioned early on that we do have a bit of a scoring system for KOs and stuff. Because my opponent is doing this Ice Monotype and picking from lower tiers, they're actually earning more points. So definitely going to be a challenge on the ladder as we're moving forward. I hope I can at least keep up. And I'm going to hopefully make more videos like this in the future. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all later.